Good morning. What's left of it? So, um, yesterday I sort of left y'all without closing out a prayer. It was sort of a strange day. I was on my second day of fast, um, and I was being challenged, and so I apologize if I was a little out of there. But there was a little bit of a spiritual battle going on, and I was dealing with personal issues, conviction, and I mean, I'm honest with you guys. I tell you what, what's going on, and then it didn't get any better after that. It was a challenging day. God was in control. Everything was okay. It's just a matter that the spiritual world becomes more and more real when I'm fasting. It just really pops out there. So, encourage you guys that are considering fasting to be prayed up and prepared for the things that will occur. I'll just leave it that way. There are things that happen you don't expect, but you're able to deal with it because your mind is really clear. I'll just talk a little bit about fasting here for you guys that might be interested in it. So when you first start fasting, the bond between the food and your body is crazy. I mean, you don't realize how addicted we are, and I say that food is not a drug; it's a necessity. But that food has control over your body, and when you start fasting, it's not easy, or it wasn't easy for me. It might be easy for other people, but for me, it was a hard thing, and it has always been a hard thing every time I've fasted until this last month. I mean, I'm going into my fifth, towards the end of my fifth week of fasting twice a week. Um, Somewhere around week two to the beginning of week three, food broke its bond on me. I don't know if it was a habit break. I don't know if it was a spiritual thing. I don't know if it was a physical body is like under its influence, like drugs or something like that. I don't know what the. I'm not saying it's exactly the same, but after somewhere around week three, probably 21 days in, like I have it, um, food just broke its bond. It didn't have a hold on me anymore. And I mean, I still got hungry, but it didn't like lure me. It didn't like pull me to it. I could smell the food, and although I was hungry, it wasn't like I gotta eat. It wasn't like I've got to get my fix of whatever it was that was there handy. It was like I don't have to eat that. And it was just like my mind said, you don't have to eat that. You can go on. You're okay. Um, and that was neat. And then this week, this or last week, the fourth week, it was easy. I mean, other than just I didn't want to be around the smells of it, things like that, just because my stomach would start growling, right? Or I don't want to eat. But as far as the fasting goes, it is definitely something that you need to try, especially if you're a believer, because Jesus called us to fast. The Bible calls all throughout that people of God fasted and prayed, and so it's a part of our belief that you need to exercise. And it's not easy, especially if you've not done it before, but you won't die. Now, if you're under some kind of weird medical conditions, diabetic or something like that, get your doctor's advice on how to do it, monitor your sugar and all that stuff. I'm not a doctor, uh, but I know that my energy levels, when I first started fasting, my energy levels dropped quite a bit. Um, I didn't want to drive because my brain was foggy. And so after the first few days of fasting and you break out of that fog, your mind is so much clearer. So I'm telling you, the first couple of days you're going to be headaches and gripey, and you don't want your family or friends close by because your body's going through all these withdrawals from caffeine and sugar and things that you don't really realize how much it affects you. But after that, after you get past that, the first time I fasted, I think it took me like 3, 4 days. I think it was like in my fourth or fifth day before I really got that clarity that they talk about on a fast where your mind is very clear. It's like, if you look through a shower curtain and it's got some some water, hard water stains on or something. You can sort of make things out, and then you pull it back. It's completely clear. You can see everything. That's sort of the way the fogginess is. The first few days are just you can't really think about things the way you want to think about things. You're irritable. You're just miserable, and not to the point that it's not able to be controlled, of course. But the first few days are hard. The fourth, fifth day is better than once you get into sixth, seventh day. You're on a roll. Now I've been doing the 2 days a week fast, and I'm getting ready to change that. Probably, I'm thinking about going to the once a day meal fast. So you're fasting 18. You're fasting 23 hours a day. You're eating one meal within a 1 hour period once a day. I've been studying it. I'm still doing the 2 day fast until I switch over to that. But the more I'm looking at that, I'm thinking that might be the long term way for me to go, and then just do some intermittent, 3 day fast and there whenever God calls me to that, or whenever there's some kind of issue I need to pray about. So that's a whole lot of fasting this morning, but I haven't really been talking much about it other than I was fasting that day or not. I fasted until yesterday afternoon, Tuesday afternoon. And then I finally ate because we were going traveling. I was driving, and I was sort of feeling a little weak. So I thought, well, I don't want any kind of blood sugar drop or anything while I'm driving down the interstate at 75, 80 miles an hour. So I ate then and broke fast late yesterday afternoon. And then just a weird night. Dealing with your body is a strange thing, but and I've lost everybody here on the chat. I can see there's nobody watching, but if you guys are interested, I'm just trying to give you a little bit of advice what I'm dealing with and what I've been going through. So, Bible verses this morning, we're going to be coming out of, let me open up the screen here so you guys can see what I'm looking at. If anybody ever watches this thing, we're going to be in 1 John 4. 1 John 4 verses, let's go read verse 18. And the reason I'm reading this, let me start out with prayer first, but that's where we're going to be at. I'm going to do a little quick prayer, then we'll jump back into this. Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for the rain. Lord, thank you for your provision. Thank you for just blessing us each and every day. I just see so many things that you do for us all the time, and your blessing. And Lord, I am thankful for that, and for just the salvation that you've allowed us to have the ability to be reunited with you. Thank you for sending your Son to be that sacrifice, the only acceptable sacrifice that might reunite us with you. Lord, forgive me for just the things that I've dealt with over the last 24 hours. Is the dealing with difficult situations and people and emotions, and Lord, help me to shine your image better than I have been, and forgive me if I've not honored you. Lord, help my words to honor you today. Lord, help me speak your verses and not take them out of context or construe them to be something they're not. And Lord, give us wisdom to understand your word and wisdom to speak your word. And Lord, just give me a clarity of mind and focus, and all these things I pray in Jesus' name for his sake. Amen. All right, so again, 1 John 4, which is bigger. We're going to be verse 18 here. This is talking about love. Let's see, what's the title up here? It's God is love. So back down here, verse 18. And the backstory on this verse is that I saw some real abject fear in the last 24 hours. I've seen it all along the last 2 months, this ridiculously long thing that's going on here. But I have seen fear in people that I never thought I would experience. And let's look at this in verse 18 here. It says, "There is no fear in love." And we talked about love yesterday. I can't love like God yet, but I'm working on it, right? And God's working on me. But perfect love casts out fear, for fear has to do with punishment. And whoever fears has not been perfected in love. We love because he first loved us. If anyone says, I love God, but hates his brother, he is a liar, for he does not love his brother whom he has seen. Uh, who he has seen. And not love God whom he has not seen. Let me read that again because I butchered it up. If anyone says, I love God and hates his brother, he is a liar, for he who does not love his brother whom he has seen cannot love God and whom he has not seen. And this commandment we have from him: whoever loves God must also love his brother. And when you see somebody that is in fear, unbeliever in fear, this crisis thing, virus, whatever you want to call it, that's going around has got people who are not believers on edge to the point that they are willing to cuss people and yell at people and for fear of this virus. And we see here in verse 18 that this is why, because the fear has to do with punishment. They fear the punishment of God. They know that what they've done is their sins are not forgiven. And so they are desperate to stay alive, desperate to fight to to keep alive. And so the abject fear and palpable fear upon their faces and in their words and in their heart, that's why they know God's going to judge them. I mean, um, no one is going to get away without dying. I mean, everyone's going to die, and there's going to be a judgment. And even though a lot of them claim they don't believe in God, when you see this fear, if they really were atheists and didn't believe there was anything afterwards, what difference does it make? You take your dirt nap and you're done, right? It's you've lived your life, you're done. I mean, there's nothing, but they know in their heart that they're going to be judged, and that explains that fear we see. I think this it captures it. There's other verses in the Bible that explain this too. You know, God, let's see over here in verse 14. Peace I leave you, my peace I give you. Not as the world gives, do I give you. Let your hearts not be troubled, neither let them be afraid. Over here in John 14:27. As believers, we have, we don't have that fear. Let's see. You guys can't see that. That wasn't right of me. That I wasn't thinking. Let me change the screen share here. You guys can see the verse because I don't ever want to talk about verse without you guys being able to make sure that I'm not making it up. So make it big here again. Here in John 14, verse 27, this is Jesus speaking because I read words here. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. Not as the world gives, do I give you. Let not your hearts be troubled, neither let them be afraid. And this is Jesus telling that, you're going to have peace as a believer because you know that God's going to be there for you. You understand the importance of you understand that there's going to be a judgment, but Jesus' blood's going to atone for your sin. If you're not a believer, you're not going to believe that, right? You're not going to be able to do that, have that peace, and you're going to react in the ways that we're seeing people act out in public. And so I just encourage you that when you're dealing with the lost, that you need to remember that they don't think like we do. I mean, before we were believers, we were in the same boat, right? We're enemies of God. God could not look upon us because of our sin. And so we were separate and we were desperate. And they are desperate. They don't know sometimes why they're desperate. They know there's a judgment coming. They know that they're going to die. And they reject and um, they fear anything that might take their life, right? And I don't know, there's these bold atheists out there but I'm telling you, they're going to reject God and they're going to have to deal with that. And all we can do is be a salt and light and share the gospel whenever we get the opportunity, whenever they have the questions. But just seeing that palpable fear in someone's eyes yesterday just drove me to the Bible to look at these verses, because I know that they have no hope apart from Jesus. And then, 1 John 4, the original verses again. There's no fear in love, but love cast out fear. The fear has to do with punishment, and whoever fears has not been perfected in love. And so, as believers, or if we think we are believers, put it that way, and yet we've got palpable fear over this situation, over things that we're seeing, and we're not trusting God, then we need to reevaluate. Have we really died to ourselves and turn to Jesus and trust Him only? And it's not just a flippant thing to say, but you have to examine yourself. Have you really, truly trust Jesus with everything? Your life, your family, your wealth, your everything about you. You trust Jesus enough to let go of all those things and trust Him alone. And if you don't, then things like we're seeing, this crises of diseases and killer hornets and whatever else they want to throw at us, will scare you and allow you to be manipulated. And that's a spiritual thing, and it's a physical thing, right? We have people who will do that to you, and we have spiritual attacks that will use that fear to control you and to move you whichever way they want. So God calls us not to be in fear. The only person we're to fear is God. And if you're fearing something other than God, then you need to go back in the Bible and make sure you do a heart check here and make sure that you're trusting in Jesus alone. Not your church, not your country, not your President Obama, not your President Trump, not your President anybody, but you're trusting in Jesus for your salvation. You're trusting your salvation is more important than your life. And then you trust in Jesus for your life, your health, and your family, and all that. So we'll close it out in prayer. Looks like nobody wanted to hear the message today. A couple people popped on, jumped right back off, so that's okay. A lot of people probably on their lunch break or whatever, because I'm a little late today. But we'll close it out in prayer. Lord, thank you for this day. Lord, thank you for sending your Son again. Thank you for the salvation that we have acceptable for us to be able to accept. It's a free gift, Lord. It costs us everything. And that we will have to die to our will, die to the way we want to do things, and live for you. And it's a serious commitment. And Lord, I pray that if people haven't made that commitment, they would. Lord, if they have questions, that they would dig at the Bible or go to someone who can lead them. Lord, help us as believers be willing to share the gospel. We will point people towards you, and not ourselves, or not a preacher, or not a whatever. But Lord, we point them towards you. Lord, help us to be bold in spirit. Help us to be knowledgeable about the Bible. Help us to invest the time, invest the resources to study and know more about you. And Lord, I thank you for our president. Lord, I ask that you give him wisdom. Lord, I ask that you surround him with good counsel. I ask you surround our government officials, Lord, our senators and our House of Representatives, all those people, Lord, you give them good counsel, even though they may not want to hear it. But Lord, you would guide their path. They can make whatever decisions they want to, Lord, but you're in control. Lord, I ask that you put people around them that would give them good biblical advice, good stewardship of the resources they're handling. Lord, be with their judges, that they would make right rulings and not personal ones, or not party ones, or not their beliefs, Lord, but what the rule of law is. Lord, I pray for our police officers that are in such dangerous communities and states that their lives are in danger daily. Lord, I ask that you'd bless them, their families, their sacrifice. Be with those military members all around the world, Lord. Protect them and bring them home safely. Watch over their families and protect them while they're gone. Be with their first responders, Lord, our EMTs and our firefighters. Lord, ask your blessing upon them. Lord, be with our economy. Lord, just ask that you'd reignite our economy. Lord, that you would help our food supply chains to re-engage and get back up to speed, their fuel, just all the different means of production across the country. Lord, that you would ramp that up. Lord, I pray for all those that are laid off, that you would provide them with jobs, Lord, better jobs than they had before, or at least back to the jobs that they love. And you provide while they're off for their needs. And we pray for the pastors that are all wanting to get their churches and their flocks back together. That would happen quickly, and there will be no fear cast about, and that it would just all go back uh, better than it was before. People will be able to be back in church praising you and singing your praises. Lord, I just pray for revival in this country and around the world. Lord, let's start here. Let's start anywhere. But Lord, let it start again, please. That people would turn back to you and change for their ways. Just again, thank you for this day. Thank you for all those that listened and are praying with me. And bless them, their families. And Lord, we said some prayer requests offline. Lord, just heavy burden hearts for people that lost children, and just Lord, just pray your blessing upon them, and cover them with your grace and mercy, Lord, as they're dealing with this horrible situation. Lord, I pray for those that have been really sick. I thank you for John getting healed. Still praying for John Dillon, my friend from church, and Lord, I ask that you restore him and heal him. I pray all these things in Jesus' name for his sake. Amen. All right, guys, we'll talk to you tomorrow, Lord willing. Adios.